U-Haul is one of those businesses that pretty much dominates its industry. And you guys have already seen these U-Haul trucks all over the roads. They are the do-it-yourself moving service. And, you know, I've used them many times in the past. But the question is a business that's this dominant worth an investment in? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. And so as you guys smash that like button, let me run that intro. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And this one's very interesting because I saw an article in Barron's where they effectively said that this is sort of like a Berkshire Hathaway type investment. And so I wanted to investigate it and see if it actually is the case. And so Barron's is making an argument that Americo, the parent owner of U-Haul, stock could rise by 50% or more. And so the idea here is for you to buy it before it gets moving again. And so that's a pretty compelling headline, and I wanted to really dive into it and see if it actually makes any sense. And essentially they're making the same case that I did, where few companies are as dominant as U-Haul, and they have nearly 10 times the number of rental locations as Penske, which is one of their top rivals. And U-Haul has also quietly built a large self-storage business to complement its rental operation. So they are diversifying with the cash that they're generating. And so based on the valuations of companies like LSI, there's an analyst that thinks that U-Haul self-storage unit, which generates around $700 million in annual sales, could be worth most of the company's market value. So investors aren't paying much for the truck rental operation, which produces most of its $5.7 billion in annual sales. And here's where they say that this company might actually be sort of like a Berkshire Hathaway type business that they'd be interested in acquiring. Now, one thing that I always love to do is I always love to read the comments. And so here was a comment made by Richard Saylor, which is a great comment, I think. And he says that due to the high capital expenditure requirements, the return on invested capital has more often than not been in the single digits. The price to earnings ratio is low right now due to the cyclical nature of the business and where we are in the business cycle. And I absolutely agree with that assessment. But let's move on to their financial statements and just take a look at what's happening. So you can see that revenue actually grew 26% last year. And in Q1 of fiscal year 2023, it's actually grown 8%. But I don't really have much visibility as to sort of like where revenues go for the remainder of fiscal year 2023 and beyond. Like, my question, and I just wrote it right here, is do they hold on to their pandemic gains? You know, that during the pandemic, a lot of people bought houses, a lot of people moved. I'm inclined to say no, as people are likely to stay put in their homes while interest rates remain this high. Even though I do believe that revenue is probably going to go backwards in this environment, I'm actually growing revenues at 5% a year just to show that I do believe that the company is a little bit overvalued. And the return on invested capital, in my opinion, is the most important metric for U-Haul. And because of the heavy capex nature of the business, it seriously depressed this metric into the single digits for most of the past 10 years. So you can see right here that that person who was making that comment is absolutely correct in his comment. Now, before I go into the valuation, guys, please note that approximately 80% of the watch time on this channel is from people that are not subscribed. So please, if you have a chance, hit that subscribe button. Now let's move right into the valuation. So you can see that I'm using a terminal multiple of 15 times earnings, and that gives me a free cash flow per share valuation of approximately $460 per share. And so, although I do believe that this is a company that's very hard to value because I have very little visibility into the future for this company, especially in the cycle that we're in right now, I'd say it's worth somewhere around that $450 per share area. But realistically, it could be worth much less depending on how much it costs to replace those trucks in this high inflation environment. So I'm going to stay away from this opportunity, but you guys let me know what you think this is worth in this environment. Now, how do you get access to the model that all the Patreons get access to, which includes this model? Well, you can get access to that model and all the other models that the Patreons get access to at the lower tier of the Patreon. And if you want to join us for an epic live presentation, you can join us at that higher tier. And another interesting opportunity that I do believe is very much undervalued in this environment is Medifast, which is sort of like a weight loss company that offers sort of like a hybrid approach, which I think is the best approach as someone who's actually lost 80 pounds over the last couple of years. And so I do believe that it's a very compelling company and opportunity in this environment. And if you missed that video, you can get to it right here.